Hi there and welcome to this Adobe Express tutorial for creating stop motion animation. Before we had computer tweening and CGI animation, all animated movies were made using stop motion techniques. Now that can mean either hand drawing the cells or frames separately, kind of like this guy here, and then you'd show each frame one after another really quickly, usually about 25 per second, and those still images shown that fast one after each other tricks our eyes into believing that we're seeing actual motion. Another way of making animations is to take photos of clay models and move them slightly every time, and this is sometimes called claymation. Now, if you've already got your photos or frames ready to go, then the amazing Claudio has put together a video and you can click up there to see how to put them together using Adobe Express. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can make a stop motion animation in the box, just within Express, using digital assets. Right, let's jump into Express and put the stop motion video together, and then later on, I'll show you how you can take it to the next level by combining other digital assets as well. Here we are on the Adobe Express homepage, and we're going to be making a video. So let's click on the orange tile that says make a video and open up the all-in-one editor. So for this example, I'm going to be using stuff from the elements. So I'm going to click on elements and let's grab a background. So I'm going to search for backgrounds and search for space. Choose a background and bring it in. Next, I'm going to go to design assets and search for moon and bring that in. Now, as you can see right now, our scene is 5 seconds long. So I'm going to just trim that all the way back down to 0.1 seconds, a tenth of a second, which is the shortest that a scene can be in Adobe Express. So first of all, we want to zoom in on the moon. So I'm going to duplicate this first scene, and every time that I do that, I'm going to be increasing the size of the moon slightly. Okay, so as you can see, I've now got 10 frames going across my timeline. So if I bring my playhead, this black line, back to the beginning and click play, I've actually got 1 second's worth of stop frame animation. I'll just add a few more frames now to zoom in on the moon a little bit further before we can bring in our lander. Right, so back I go to the design assets, and this time I'm just going to search for something like rocket. So in this first scene with the rocket, I'm going to bring it over, rotate it, reduce the size, and just have it just peeping in at the edge of our frame. There we go, something like that. And now I'm just going to start duplicating the scene again and bring the rocket in closer to the moon. Let's play from the beginning and see how we're getting on. That's looking great. Now then, as the lander comes down to the moon's surface, I want to add some flames coming from the bottom. So let's search in design assets for just flames. This was great. I'm going to rotate it and pop it behind the lander. And now again, I'm going to duplicate this frame. There we go. And on this new frame, I'm just going to bring the lander down a little bit and the flame down a little bit. And also with the flame, each time I duplicate the frame, I'm going to flip it horizontally. And also, let's throw on a duotone filter. There we go, so that the flame changes color. So I'm going to do that now a few times as the lander gets down closer to the moon. Now, as we're getting closer, I'm actually going to crop the bottom of the flame off so that it looks like it's hitting the moon's surface. Just a cool little idea there. And I'm keeping on changing the duotone filter every time so that my flames look different each time. Okay, so the lander has landed. So let's duplicate this and let's get a dust cloud as it's touching down. So I'm going to duplicate this scene. In this new scene, I don't need the flame because our thrusters are off. So let's delete the flame and let's get some dust cloud. So maybe I'll just search for cloud. This one will be great. So I'm going to add that in and I'm going to make it nice and small. And I'm going to pop one each side of the lander on an angle. So there's my first one. I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to flip this horizontal. And I'm going to pop that on the other side there, roughly following the kind of surface of the moon. There we go. And let's duplicate this scene and let's make the clouds bigger. So just increase the size of the clouds. just like that. And again, duplicate. And this time the clouds are going to be bigger again, but they're going to start to dissipate, start to disappear as the dust settles. So to do that, I'm just going to bring the opacity of the dust cloud down to about halfway. And then finally, duplicate again. And on this one, we're going to have big clouds, but they're going to be nearly invisible. Like this. Bring the opacity down to about 1/4. All right, let's take it back to the beginning and see how we're getting on. That looks really cool. Right, let's get an astronaut jumping out of the lander onto the moon's surface. So I'm going to duplicate this scene again, duplicate, and this time I don't need the clouds, so let's just get rid of those. And I do need an astronaut. So again, in the design assets, I'm going to search for astronaut. This first one looks good, so I'm going to bring that in. I would like the suit to look a little bit whiter though, so I'm just going to grab a duotone filter on that. I think like a white and a red, I think will work just fine for me. White and red. Yes, something like that is great. Right, now then, let's scale that right down and pop the astronaut there. Now that's difficult for you to see on my screen recording, but I'm going to pop the astronaut now behind the lander. There we go. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this scene a load of times and just move the astronaut a little bit every time as he jumps out and lands on the moon's surface. And if you just like to have a little still moment in your animation, you can just duplicate a scene a few times without actually moving anything. There we go, like that. So let's play it from the beginning now and see our entire stop motion sequence from start to finish. Okay, I'm really happy with that. Let's name it as Space Landing Stop Motion. Okay, that's our stop motion video done, and I'm really happy with it. But what if you want to combine your stop motion video with other digital media? Well, let's look at how we can take this to the next level. So click on download and then choose MP4, hit download, and if you just want your stop motion file, that'll download it and you are done. But if you'd like to take it to the next level and add other media to it, then let's carry on. I'm going to jump back to the Express homepage by clicking on the Express logo, and I'm going to click again on Make a Video. But this time, I am going to upload that stop motion video that I've just downloaded and bring it in. So now I can play this as a movie file. So here you could double your frame rate if you wanted to and change it from 10 frames per second to 20 frames per second by changing the speed of playback to 200%. And as you can see, it plays back faster, but also smoother. Now you could split the difference and go to something like 15 frames per second, like that. And when you do that, you are going to need to just change the length, the duration of this clip. So I'm just going to find where the animation ends and trim it back to there. So what other media can we add to this? Well, let's make it look like an old TV. So I'm going to click on Media, and I'm going to go to Videos, and I'm going to search in here for old TV. And we get these cool overlays. So if I bring one of these in, it's going to add it to my scene. I can expand that, bring it up to fill the whole page. Now it's hiding my animation at the moment, but if I use the screen blend mode, it's going to keep all the lighter parts and make the darker parts of that movie file transparent. I can also bring the opacity down a little bit further if I want to see more of my animation behind. And now I've got this cool kind of old TV effect over the top. You could also search for things like film burn or light leaks. They're always fun. And let's play that, see how it looks. That's a great combination. What about using an animate from audio character? Now, you can record your own voice, but you can also upload audio files. So I've put a link in the video to this file where you can download the actual audio when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. So let's jump back out to the Adobe Express homepage, click on Animate from Audio, and I'm going to find the astronaut. There we go. I'm going to change the background to transparent, and I'm going to change the size of this project to a YouTube video landscape. There we go. And then I'm going to resize, there we go, my astronaut like that. Brilliant. And instead of recording my voice, I can browse my device and I can upload Neil Armstrong's actual speech. Let's check that out.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Cool. So I'm going to take that into the editor. So I'm going to click on Open in Editor here. And I'm going to save this project as Neil Armstrong. There we go, it's saved. And now let's just copy this video file. So right click, copy, jump back out to the Adobe Express homepage, open up our video project, and let's add a scene. So let's click Add Scene here, and I'm going to right click and paste, and that's going to bring Neil Armstrong in. There he is. Now then, let's build up a background similar to what I've got on my animation. So I'm going to bring in the space background, the moon, and the lander, but I'm going to be way zoomed in on it. And I'm going to flip my Neil Armstrong video so that he's facing the same way as the astronaut as he jumped out. There we go. And let's just click play and see how this looks.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Cool. Now you could even add an animation to that. So you could have him bobbing a little bit because there's low gravity. Let's add the same overlay layers. So my old TV and my light leaks. And let's check our entire movie again.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And finally, let's get some dramatic music for our whole thing. So again, I go over to the media button on the left-hand side. This time I go to audio, and let's search for maybe sci-fi. Bring that in. And then just before Neil Armstrong starts to speak, I'm going to start bringing the volume down on my music. So I'll just bring my playhead, and I'm going to just cut my music there. And then again, just as he's about to speak, I'm going to split it again here. Okay, so this first piece of music, I'm going to keep this at 100%. This next bit, I want to start bringing the volume down. So this second piece of music is going to be down at maybe 50%, something like that. And then when he's actually speaking, I want the music to be right down at 15%, around there. What else can do? Well, of course, you could add some text, all the usual cool stuff you can do in Adobe Express. So let's download our finished project and see what it looks like.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And there we are. Thanks for joining in. I've had a load of fun putting this tutorial together. I hope you've had fun joining in as well, and I'll see you on another one. Bye for now.